I'm Sebastian St. James. Should you stick to large cap stocks? After all, they're the safest. Or should you go for the high growth potential of small cap stocks? They're small. By definition, they've got more room to grow. That I will answer for you today. Firstly, we need to draw a line in the sand. How large do you need to be a large cap stock? And where is the line between small cap and micro cap? This is the ASX 200. The index measures the performance of the 200 largest and most liquid stocks listed on the ASX by float-adjusted market capitalisation. Aha! The ASX 200, the large cap stocks. It lists the largest. This is the ASX 20. The index measures the performance of the 20 actively traded and highly liquid securities that are among the largest largest again. This is the ASX 50. The index measures the performance of the 50 of the largest and most liquid. It's basically all the same wording. ASX 20, ASX 50, ASX 200, the wording is all the same. And this is actually coming from SP Global. This is the wording of the people who actually own and create the index. No wonder we don't know what is large cap and small cap. Wouldn't it be easier just to say on the index, this is large caps, this is small caps? So much easier. Not happy, Jan. Right, if they're not going to tell us, then we're going to have to deduce it. And I'm just the detective to solve this puzzle. There is one index that actually does tell me what it's doing. And I suspect if I take that information and carefully leap to the next conclusion and then leap again, we may be able to figure all of this out. This is the ASX Mid-Cap 50. Very useful. The name gives me a clue there. The index measures the performance of the mid-cap component of the S&P ASX 100, excluding the large-cap component. Very useful, that little sentence. Let's see if we can break that down. The mid-caps is in the ASX 100 and is in the ASX Mid-Cap 50. Okay, I think I can solve this. So, the ASX 50 is the mid-caps. Obviously, it's not the top end, but it is 50 stocks that call themselves mid-cap stocks. It is apparently a part of the ASX 100. Therefore, if there are 50 stocks that we know in the ASX 100 are mid-cap, by definition, the remaining ones must be large cap. And here we are, the large caps, with stock number 1 to 50. What do you mean 1 to 50? Well, these indices are actually market cap weighted. So stock number one on the ASX is the largest stock, which would be BHP. Stock number 2 will be the second largest, and so on down to number 50. So we know stock number 1 to 50 is the large caps. By definition, we've deduced that now, and that is a part of the ASX 50, which is actually an index, although it doesn't mention anywhere in its name it's large cap. But by deduction, if stock number 51 to 100 is the mid caps, by definition, the largest must be the large caps. And there we go. We've solved large caps, we've solved mid caps, now on to small caps. Here is the S&P ASX Small Ordinaries. Okay. The index measures the performance of companies included in the S&P ASX 300, but not in the S&P ASX 100. So it's like 200 stocks. 300 minus 100 gives me 200. Aha! I think I can solve this. So the large caps are the first 50 stocks. The mid caps are the next 50, and the small caps, could this possibly be 300 minus 100, which is all 200 stocks? Is that how it's going to work? Yes, it's the only way. Based on that description, there must be 200 stocks that are actually part of the small stocks. Do you notice they're actually getting larger as we go down? We started with 50, which was the large caps, or then we had 50, which is the mid caps, but suddenly we have 200 for the small caps. Interesting. So far, they've also got an index of their own. The ASX 50, the mid-cap, good. At least they called it something sensible, and the small ordinaries. Why did they not call the ASX 50 the ASX large cap 50? It would have solved so many problems up front. Oh, here's another index. The S&P ASX Mid-Small. The index measures the performance of companies included in the S&P ASX 300, but not in the S&P ASX 50. The index is a combination of the S&P ASX Mid-Cap 50 and the S&P ASX Small Ordinaries indices. What? No. I'm putting my foot down here. This is ridiculous. Mid-Smalls? Here is the ASX Large Micro, but not the mid-caps and 50% of the small caps index. Really? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to draw the line somewhere, but if you're kind of trying to merge a couple of your indices together and knock out this, that's too much. line drawn. Oh, another one, the S&P ASX All Australian 50. The index measures the performance of the 50 of the largest by float-adjusted market capitalisation, highly liquid ASX-listed securities defined as domestic or Australian for index purposes. I see, so that must be the xenophobic index that does not like foreign stocks. And this is the ASX Microcap Index. Wait a minute, there isn't one. I kid you not, we go down to small ordinaries, that's it. Microcaps, we talk about that as a concept, but there's no index that tracks this. It's really just a concept. But using our refined powers of deduction, we can actually figure out exactly what stocks would be a part of microcap world. And this is how it works. So we know the small caps go down to stock number 300. Obviously, microcaps are smaller than small caps. Therefore, it must be on the ASX, stock number 301 onwards is actually the microcap. Down to whatever, down all the way, really. They're all microcaps beyond that. So there you go. We've solved the riddle of what on the ASX are microcaps, what are large caps, what are mid caps. We know exactly which stocks they are. The question is, how does this relate to size? Market capitalisation. What is, for example, a big cap stock, the large end of town? Is 10 billion the size of a large cap stock? And is 10 million? What is that? Is that a microcap or is that a small ordinaries? That, I'll let you know in a minute. This is David. Oh no, hang on, that's not the same David. This is Fiona Ray and David, who have become brand new members and have joined my channel. How exciting! I love new members on my channel. Thank you very much for joining. And if you'd like to join the channel and get perks along with Fiona and David, then hit the join button below this video. How big do you need to be a large cap stock? In dollars this time. Well, this is the ASX 50. Let's have a look. These are the constituents. In other words, if you were to buy all the stocks, this is what it would hold. BHP is the largest. And if we look along, the market cap of BHP is 249 billion. Now, there's no upper cap on large cap stocks, but right now, that is the largest cap. And let's reverse sort it. Go to the smallest, which is Reece. Interesting, remember that name. And it is 10 billion. Aha, there we go. So we've discovered with the large cap stocks they go from 249 billion, although of course there's no upper limit, but that's what it is now, right down to 10 billion. Why have I got it backwards? Often in English we'll say the smaller number first. That's because it's the ASX 1 down to 50, so the largest number is first, and therefore it's 249 billion down to 10 billion. On to mid caps, which go all the way down to 100, so we need to look at the ASX 100. Let's reverse sort it. The smallest company is GQG Partners, which has a market cap of $4.6 billion. Now, we were going up to Reece. The next size down is Atlas Arteria, which is, well, it's 10 billion as well. Okay, fairly straightforward. So we now know the mid-caps go in 10 billion right down to $4.6 billion, which is actually a lot smaller. Notice that. Large caps have 239 billion in range. The mid-caps, no, 5.4 billion. Interesting. To size the small cap stocks, we need to look at the ASX 300. So let me bring that one up. And we reverse sort it. This is the smallest cap. Austral Limited, yes, at 663 million. Oh, wow, we are getting small, aren't we? How do I work out the microcaps? Well, it's wherever the small caps finished off. So we can just automatically assume that the microcaps go from stock 301 plus is 663 million all the way down to probably less than $1 million. You'll find some stocks there. If you say, I don't invest in microcaps, they're too risky. What's a microcap? I don't know, but I don't invest in them. Well, now you know. It's stock 301 down on the ASX or less than 663 million right now. You know the answer. So much information you get on this channel. Now that we have all our caps in a row, the question is, which has performed better over time? Because we talk about stocks as if they belong to a group. Oh, only invest in large caps. Oh, avoid microcaps, or whatever you might go for. Oh, small cap stocks, they're wonderful because they outperform. Do they? Let's take a look at that. This is the S&P ASX 50, which by definition is the large cap stocks. Now, I'm looking at total return on all of these graphs. Total return, of course, is share price growth plus dividends. Dividends is baked into all the graphs that we're looking at from here on in. So over a 10-year period, which is as long as I can go for, this is all the data that S&P Global, who actually owns the indices, this is their website. This is what they tell me over 10 years. It has returned, including dividends, 8.78%. There we go. 8.78 what? CAGR, compound annual growth rate, every year, year after year, well, averaged out as far as the compounding is concerned, 8.78%, and that is the large end of town. Here is the S&P Mid Cap 50, so, stock number 51 down to 100. Total return including dividends over the last 10 years, so the same time period as the previous graph, is 12.34%. Yo, it's like the S&P 500. This is amazing. Is this true? Yes, it absolutely is true. So let's start to line up our figures here. The large caps, 8.78%. Total return over 10 years. That's a CAGR or a per year figure. That's not a total. Mid caps, 12.34%, which is, they're pretty nice, aren't they? Onto the S&P ASX Small Ordinaries, which as we know is stock 101 down to stock 300. Total return, which includes dividends over 10 years, is, a measly 5.49%. Oh, I'm very disappointed. I was hoping the Small Ordinaries would prove that they've got so much growth potential. Yes, it looks like they've got a whole lot more potential to go because they certainly haven't reached it yet. So we can add that to our list. Small cap stocks, no, they've done the worst at 5.49% total return CAGR over 10 years. Stock number 300 plus. The problem is there's no index that tracks this. So what do microcaps return over 10 years? We'll never know. It's not tracked, and therefore we can't say for sure. Now that you understand the return of large, mid, and small cap stocks, let's throw in some other indices which you know and love. Here is the ASX 200, total return including dividends over the last 10 years, 8.93%. Okay, so where does that fit in? That fits in below mid caps at 12.34%. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, but more than large caps. So you're better off slightly on this data actually going for complete ASX 200 rather than just going for the ASX 50, which is the large caps. The ASX 300, which is the 300 largest stocks, that's just all the way down to small, isn't it? ASX 300, of course, includes the large, the mid, and all the smalls. It's basically the whole thing except for micros, and it's returned 8.9%. How's that fit in? Well, that's underperformed for this particular 10-year period, just slightly. 8.93, 8.9, so it could go either way, really, in the future. So there you have it. You now have all the data at your fingertips to decide whether mid-cap, small-cap or large-cap stocks perhaps are for you. The question is, should I take this data as real? Yes, obviously the data is real, but it's 10 years. What sort of conclusions can you draw over a 10-year period of time? Well, it's unfortunately slightly limited. That's as much data as the S&P Global is going to give us. Personally, before I decided to invest totally as far as a concept is concerned and based on this data, for example, only invest in stock number 51 to 100 because that's exactly what this data is showing. I'd like to see more than 10 years worth of data, but they're not giving us that. The question is, have these indices been around for long enough? The S&P ASX 50 launched on the 3rd of April 2000 and commenced trading as of 23rd of August 2000. That is 22 and a half years old. Oh, we can only give you 10 years worth of data. It's a choice they're making. They have more data. At least they gave us total returns, which often we don't get, do we? People are saying, oh yeah, that's nice, but what about the dividends? Well, you know the dividends. These are all including dividends, every single one of them. So full marks up for that. But sadly, 10 years is the data we get, which is better than ETFs that tend to be only giving me 5 lately. What I can tell you, though, is whether 2023 is going to be a bad year for stocks. How's it looking so far? Click here to find out, or if you've seen that, click here.